Go live. There we go.
There it is.
There we are. Okay.
I'll put it in general too.
Okay, sweet.
Should we do this?
Let's do it. Okay. So here's the big reveal for you. This is the design we're going to be working on today.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward. I've already got the images set up, so we're off to a head start.
Okay.
Basically,
we're not going to be trying to recreate that shoe in CSS.
No, this will not be a CSS painting exercise. Well, that is a good idea. Maybe for a future stream we'll try something like that.
Yeah.
A little Bob Ross theme or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically I've set this all up. So we've got the style sheet ready to go, and at the end, when we want the moment of truth, we're just going to uncomment this line and see what happens.
Sweet.
So just to give you a look at the structure of the page, this is how it looks right now. We've got our logo, we've got our language selector, different sections of the site in a navigation element. We've got the images to select the thumbnails. Pretty much the entire structure is here, and I've already included the a lot of the classes. And that means we can tweak them if we need to, but it'll give us a base in our style sheet to play around with.
Awesome.
So I should mention this design I found on Dribble by Nika Tripolsky. So thank you, Nika, if you're watching. I doubt it, but thank you for the design. We're gonna try and match this today.
Yeah. And we should introduce what we're doing, just in case people aren't aware and just stumbled upon our awesome stream, which is we're going to take this design that Steven's showing here. My name is Edward, by the way, and we're going to take this design and try to replicate it, but we're not going to refresh the page at all. We have the markup, we have the design, and we're going to make the CSS, and then moment of truth at the end. We're going to see how close we got. And we already had a question about what version of Mac OS this is, and I believe it's Big Sur.
Yep, that would
I'm
be
not mistaken.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so let's see. I've got the CSS over here. I was just doing this to test and make sure that it was working. So the very first thing I like to do in a totally fresh style sheet is make sure that box sizing is set.
Yep.
And of course, I set it to border box.
Which includes the borders in the overall width. So if you set it to width 100, including the borders, that width will be there.
Correct. Yeah, so that's important if you want. I find that most of the designs that I tend to work on, the border I want to be included in the overall width that I'm setting for the element. It just makes things a lot easier. This could be equivalent to like if you're working in a design software, you want the border to be like inside the element, just makes sense. We like grids.
Do you
like
also
alignment.
have like a Do you also have like a reset that you like to use, or do we want to take off margin and padding and things like that, or do you just tend to deal with what the browser gives you?
I usually include some kind of normalize or reset to just take like the padding or margin off the body element. Haven't included any of that here, so we can go ahead and just at least reset this to zeros, and that way we're a little bit more starting off with a bit more of a clean slate. I'm also going to throw in, because I don't have any fonts or really variables for anything yet, I'm going to go ahead and just say the font family. I don't have any fonts included here, so I'm just going to say the font family is sans serif, since that seems to be what we're working with on this page, and I'll just let the system handle that.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, so we may want to grab a few of the colors out of here. Just maybe just like the blue and then the sort of cream color.
Cool.
So we can just define those here up the top. Since we're using Sass, we can go ahead and just define variables this way and use them throughout.
Love Sass. It's great.
I'm not sure actually what the best way is to color select this. Yeah. Maybe I can just do this. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So we've got that blue. And we've got...
I didn't know that was in the Chrome Developer Tools. That's cool.
This is actually in Firefox.
For Firefox, yeah. Nice.
And I think Chrome has a similar one. Yeah, just a couple of years ago, I kind of fell into using Firefox because it had some nice grid and flex dev tools. I think those are in Chrome now too, so I might be making the switch back to that.
Cool. Yeah, I use Firefox as well. I didn't know that was in there though. That's great.
So Boris said Team Edward, but it's not a competition. So
it isn't. We're both succeeding or failing together. I appreciate all the support.
But you can be Team Edward if you want, like the Twilight reference.
Yeah, definitely can't be Team Steve. Not allowed.
There's no team. No team for me.
Should we try to maybe do like an overall layout kind of thing first?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Those?
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. So you can see I've got everything basically is stuck directly in the body. So what do you think? Should we wrap this in like a layout div, or do you want to just maybe apply something directly to the body?
I think we could probably apply something. It looks like pretty evenly, like 3 sections horizontally. Mm-hmm. Is what I'm seeing, like that little skinny sidebar, the gray section, and then the lighter section. Yeah. And so that seems like we could use flex or grid to just do that.
Okay. I'm just going to call this the body layout. So yeah, what do you think? It doesn't look like there's really any gap here, so yeah. It's pretty straightforward, so probably flex.
Yep, makes sense to me.
And then we can go ahead and define some widths for these.
Do we also need to set it to, no, it by default is like columns, right? Not rows for flex?
Correct, yeah. Flex is going to automatically have no wrapping, and it's going to be all in one row. So the only thing we need to set up is on our individual, on each of those 3 columns, we should define, some width or maybe some flex value. So let's see, those are the header, which is, I can get rid of my inspector for a second. The header, which includes the logo and this language selector. The navigation, which is just this piece. And then there's the product section, which is basically this whole section here with the actual details of the product, including like size selection, the price, and all that. And then there's this details section, which is this entire section on the right. So the only thing that's kind of standing out now is that it seems like we need some sort of container for both the nav and the product piece. So I can go ahead and just grab this nav and drop it. Oh, well, actually, I'll just wrap them.
Yeah, because they are sort of semantically different, right? One is like the product details, and one it looks like the global site nav, which isn't really a concern of the product.
Right, exactly. So I don't know what to call this necessarily as a class, since it doesn't really fit with any sort of like, I can't think of a name.
There's two competing concepts here. Yeah.
So what we could do is, like if I was building this out, I would probably just use like a utility class to just set a flex rule on it or something, because naturally it's just going to be in this position in the flex ordering.
Right.
Hello from Lebanon. Hello from the East Coast, USA.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna leave this class alone for now, and we can choose what we want that to be in the future.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, because right now we don't actually need to address it. We're just laying this out. So yeah, it looks like.
Yeah, so the header has an image and then a div with these languages.
Yep. So I'm thinking about which things would probably be, if we're resizing the browser, which things should stick and which things should resize. And it feels like this header should probably not resize. It's probably set to be something, some percentage of the view, or no, not some percentage, either some pixel width or some static width. Yeah,
I would agree. That makes total sense to me. Yeah, and if I'm thinking about how this would respond to different sizes, I imagine maybe like the relationship between the product column and the details column would be consistent. Like that ratio might stay the same, or it could be that just the details expands and both of those like darker blue sections on the left remain fixed. But I agree that the header should definitely be fixed no matter what. So how large do you want to make that? Because if we define a width, then it won't really behave with flex, but I am going to put flex none just to tell it not to shrink or grow.
Yeah, the way I've done that before is just set the flex minimum and then tell it not to grow. Or no, is it flex basis?
Yeah, there is flex basis. Yeah, so flex basis is like, I always think of flex basis as being like width light. Like it's not as absolute because depending on the growing and shrinking, it can be like, it can actually be pushed and like squashed if you just set a flex basis, depending on what the other elements do. Right. Whereas if you say flex none and give it a width, it's going to be more strict about it, I think. At least that's what I'm recalling.
I've always pictured it as it starts like when it's laying out the page, it gives everything its basic flex basis, and then it uses the grow and shrink to adjust it from that basis.
Yeah.
So it's like you start at whatever, 20 em, and then it grows or shrinks. But yeah, I'm into it. Let's check it out.
It's probably going to be too much. I'm going to say maybe 12 rem.
Sure.
Let's see, what's 12
Hard
times
to say
16?
Without our like.
That's 192 pixels.
It seems more to me like it's in the, I guess, is this a whole browser? Is this thing the whole width of the browser?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I zoom in here to 100%, that's probably only on my retina, that's probably like 100 pixels.
Something like that, yeah.
It's hard to get sizes right. I know it's going to be more than, I think 12 is about right, because that'll be like a little bit over 100 pixels on my monitor, and that's about what it looks like to me. But yeah, maybe like 50 on a 72 DPI display.
100 pixels divided by 16 is 6.25 rem.
It just seems. I'm just thinking like that's only 6 That's only 6 characters wide.
Yeah, it's fair.
I don't know. I'm just gonna say 12.
Okay, cool.
If it's wrong, it's wrong.
That's the fun.
Okay, so we have inside of the header, we have a logo. So since that's the only image here, we can just style that with image. I would probably do this differently in production, but hey. We can also decide on the layout of these two things, because we do have the image and then we have this separate languages thing. I'm thinking that this will also be display flex, but it's going to be
flex direction. Is it com? Okay.
And then because column we've set as the major axis, we can we can space things on the major axis with the justify rules.
Right.
And I always have to remember this, that alignment, align items, and justify content are respective to the major axis. So justify is going to be along the major axis and align is going to be perpendicular. So if we want to push the languages to the bottom, we need to say justify content space between. So this way the logo will be at the top, languages will be at the bottom.
Then I always get the Dave Matthews Band song stuck in my head.
Don't know that one.
It's a little Easter egg for those Spotify. Yeah, that sounds good though.
Oh, John, I've got my thoughtbot t-shirt on today. That's great.
Nice. I had that yesterday.
If I had mine on under this, I would like Superman rip my shirt open, but I don't, so I will refrain. So this probably needs some padding as well, because that logo isn't just butted up against everything. So I'm just going to go ahead and use like 1 EM as just a standard padding size.
Do you want rem or m here?
Yeah, I'll use rem. That's a good point. So around the logo, we've got some padding.
Here's a good question. At least I hope it's a good question. For the image padding, that's not going to make the overall image bigger? Instead, we want margin, or is it?
I think you're correct. Yeah, I think padding will expand the image. You're right. We want some margin there. Okay. I think we should also make sure that we align items to center, because we want that logo to be centered within the row axis, horizontal axis.
Right.
What is this font?
We do have
font
these that are not.
Okay.
It's very tiny.
Let me. I don't know if you mean the design or if you mean my editor, but I'm gonna try and boost my editor so that y'all can see. Sorry about that. Okay.
Maybe they're asking about it because they're looking it on their phone or something. Who knows?
Yeah, that could be true.
In which case, I can't help you.
I also have to account for, like, some people have 13-inch laptops and maybe even smaller, or they're looking on their phone. In which case, like, sorry, I don't think there's anything I could do about that. But I am looking at this on a 27-inch monitor, so I'll boost it for you.
So you did center, and I think that's good, especially for the image. For these, though, do we want to just individually shove those over to the right with some margin or padding?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think because of this little like tag on the side that indicates where it is, I want to basically have that be like the full width of this column.
Makes sense.
And just let it do its thing. I have no idea how to handle the rotation of this, actually, so...
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I guess transform.
Yeah.
Or rotate. But yeah, like that's going to be really tricky to do without refreshing the browser because of the anchor of wherever.
Yeah. I think there might be actually like a text direction rule that we can say like go vertically, but I don't know if it's like top to bottom or bottom to top. But this is going to be one of the surprises when we do the unveiling.
I think we could at least rotate it, and then if we're off by some amounts, that might be that'll be a fun surprise to see. And maybe if we have time at the end, we can go look up the because I know you can set like an anchor point of how it's going to rotate.
Right, yeah, transform origin.
There you go.
Yeah. And if we rotate it, if we rotated it along a point that's on the rightmost side, then like the bottom right corner or something, I'm thinking like, I don't know, my
it like
spatial
normally
reasoning
would
is...
be here.
Yeah.
And then we like rotate it around like this.
Right. So if we rotated it by that bottom right corner, I think that would give us like the appropriate pivot point. And then we would just need to make sure that the vertical alignment is correct. But I would be shocked if we got that right on the first try.
Yeah, this will be fun.
So shocked.
Oh, I see. So you're like, this is the entire width. Is that what you're thinking? Is like this border is the width of the screen, and then we're rotating this whole thing, so it like starts here, and then we rotate it.
No.
Okay.
I meant the bottom right corner of the element.
I see.
That contains all these little languages. So what I'm going to do is just call it with 100%. The other thing that I need to do here is that like these things are actually links, so I need to make sure that these are like the right.
Yep, text decoration none.
Yeah. And the right color as well. So I'm just going to say these are. I'm just going to say these are white for the sake of it. I want to like get all the rough stuff done first. Yeah. No refinement here.
Agreed.
This header also has a border right that is probably some shade of gray. I'm just going to make it white. This piece actually with the image being an SVG, I just realized I was going to try and control the fill, but you can't do that if you're bringing it in as an image source.
I see.
So I'm going to just pop over to the SVG and say that the fill for this is going to be white.
Perfect.
Okay. Now let's get back to our style sheet.
Should we move on to the middle section?
Yes, we should.
Run out of time.
I do want to make sure that we get the background color in here.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Makes sense.
So let's move on. Now, we could just call this like middle main column or something.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call it main column.
Details and nav.
So we've got the main column. This one is going to have, so I put flex none on this one. So anything that we put into the flex rule here, like a flex value of 2 versus a flex value of 1 is going to like divvy up the remaining space. So if I look at the design overall, it looks like this is maybe split into like fifths, and like that's maybe 2/5 and 3/5.
I was going to say the same thing.
Okay, so this one is going to be flex 2,
2 and 3,
and the details is going to be flex 3. So we've got that. Okay, did I spell that right? Main column, main column.
Good check.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we could do the nav real quick. That probably shouldn't be very long.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Okay, so the nav is just these 4 links. And I'm going to go ahead and pull over the same rules for the links there. We actually don't, I think, have any links in the details section, so I could actually move this just outside from the header.
Yep.
And that'll just affect the areas that it should, or that we need it to, rather. And now the nav, this is probably also going to be a flex, I think.
Yeah, makes sense.
And we could say, go ahead.
This almost looks like it could be space around, because there's these spaces here, which I never get to use, but this seems like a perfect opportunity.
Yeah,
or centered.
And I noticed that like if you account for like the padding around this box, like this detail section has a little bit of padding as well. So if we account for that padding and subtract it from the overall like width of this, then yeah, that looks like that space between that edge and the first link and between the links is the same. So I think space around is probably good. And then we'll give the overall column just a little bit of padding.
Yep.
Okay, so the nav is going to be this is going to be justify content since we're working with rows, and do space around.
We did get a suggestion to use grid, but that's going to be all you. That's
use grid. Yeah.
A polite suggestion to use grid.
Polite suggestion. Yep.
But yeah, I think this is the right way to go. It's keeps everything flex, so less to keep in our head, especially when we can't continue to refresh, which I like.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and just use.
Thank you for your kind suggestion, viewer.
Thank you, viewer. I'm gonna go ahead and for the whole main column, I'm just gonna say that the color of links is the cream.
Yep.
Or the color for all the text. I mean, not just links.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Should we be timing this? But like put us under a little bit of pressure.
I mean, I feel like we have our hour mark at least, and maybe somewhere around 12:50, we'll maybe just do the actual reveal and then talk about what we missed.
Okay, so we've got about 20 minutes. I'm gonna try and keep that in mind.
Yeah.
All right, so details is going to be flex 3, and the background color is going to be that cream, of course. Yep. I don't know why I started to spell break. I think it's because I misspelled background. There we go. Okay. So the details has got its thing going on. The nav probably looks good. We do need a little bit of padding in this main column, as I mentioned.
Does our DOM have capitalized words, or do we need to throw in like a text transform or whatever it is?
Yeah, good point. It does not. So we do need to do uppercase, and I'll do the same with, actually, languages already has them uppercase.
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
That should be capitalized. And that's an important accessibility note. Like, you should always transform it with CSS, because I believe that if you spell in all capital letters, some screen readers are going to read beginning list of links, link number 1, MEN, end of link.
Yeah.
Link number 2, WO. Which
yeah, that's not great.
Really frustrating. So yeah, let's just uppercase them with some CSS. Super easy.
Okay.
All right.
So that's probably good for the nav. And then do we have our flex for this column? Like our layout? I assume we were going to do like this is one thing.
Yes, that is a good
and
point.
Then, yeah.
Okay. So we need a little bit of padding around this. I'm going to say that's about 3 rem around the entire thing. So that'll give us our top padding and our side padding around this whole thing. So yeah, the main column is also going to be display flex, and it's going to be a column, but I don't know if we can, I want to like center this stuff vertically, right? But not accounting for this piece. So if we were doing grid, I know that there's align self, which just takes all the contents of that grid cell and puts it in the middle of the grid cell. I don't know.
That's for flex too. Flex has align self.
Align self?
I don't know if it works.
Okay.
But
we'll try it. We'll try it.
Yeah.
We'll learn. Okay, so this is going to be display flex, and flex direction is going to be column. So then the nav should probably not grow or shrink. Yeah. So as long as we do flex 1 on the product area.
Is flex 1 the default?
Flex 1 is not the default. I believe it defaults to flex 0 auto for grow and shrink.
Oh, interesting.
And flex is a shorthand, so this basically says that the grow, like flex basis is 1 FR.
Yeah, basis grow and shrink, I think.
Okay, yeah.
I could look it up though.
Yeah, so I know that flex 1, if we don't set anything on the nav, then its height should just be like, its natural content height. And then if we put flex 1 on the rest, it'll take up the rest of the height on product. And then you're saying if we do align self center,
I believe so.
That should bring it to the center. I know that there's also go ahead.
Are we allowing ourselves to look up CSS rules?
I'll let you do it since you're Team Edward.
Okay.
It sounds like you're already doing it. So
I realized what I was doing and I stopped myself just in case. Yeah,
well, that's okay.
Okay. All right. So then
we'll say it's an open book test.
Yeah, fair. All right. So now this will be center in this vertical space.
Yeah, and now actually I don't think that yes. Okay, so the product section is its own wrapped thing. We set it up like that. As you were saying?
Yeah, sounds good. Okay. And now should we do the actual content?
Yeah. So we've got the thumbnails, and then we have the shop, which is the right-hand side with the name and the price and the sizing.
Should product itself also? I mean, I'm just nesting flex after flex after flex here. Big flex, you might say. But like maybe is this whole thing a flex, and then there's these two sections?
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
We love flex here.
We love flex.
In this
Big
house,
flex people.
In this house, we love flex.
This is the house that Flex built.
Exactly. Okay, so for the product thumbnails, if we set a size for the individual thumbnails, then the product thumbnails, we could set the width to be max content, I believe, and it'll just set it to whatever the size the thumbnails are.
Love it.
And then for the...
I didn't know about max content. That's new.
It is new, and I'm actually not sure of the browser support for that. So the other column here is shop. So that one can just get flex 1 to take up the remaining space.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'm not sure of the support for max content, but I know it'll do that. Inside of product thumbnails, we can just say the images have a certain width and height. It looks to me to be slightly bigger than what we set for the header, which was 12 rem. So I'm going to say that the width is 14 rem.
Okay.
And then the thumbnails themselves are in some kind of arrangement and have some border radius. So I'll say that it's half of that. And the overflow is hidden on those.
I've sometimes done 50%. Because then it's always whatever half this is.
And I think that works always if it's square, but in cases where it's rectangular and you want like a pill shape or something, it can get tricky, but yeah, that'll work in this case for sure. So the background of the thumbnails has like a little bit of opacity to it. I'm just gonna do a RGBA white 0.1 background color on that.
We will have to also round the corners, otherwise I think we're going to get some background bleeding through.
Yeah.
There.
Now this width should also be 14. You know what? What if instead of the image, we set these to 100%? And I don't know what the support for this is yet, but we could try aspect ratio.
Oh.
I think it's
like I always thought it would just do it one to one if you didn't specify.
Yeah, if they are square, I think that's right. Okay. And then the border radius for this can be, let's see, the width of this should be 14 rem, and then the border radius, I'm just going to say 7 rem since it's a rectangle. Yep. I don't know what 50% might do.
That makes sense.
Might be a little bit stretched otherwise.
Okay. So that's cool. So we got those shoes in place.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. You want to move on to this?
Yeah, let's do it. These actually do need a little bit of spacing. I'm gonna say not last child, margin bottom, 2rem.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're into the shop. In the shop, we have product name, a release date, a price, the size group, which has the size, the region, and the product size option little toggles. Oh, it looks like we had a syntax error in this, which is fine. It'll let me fix the syntax error before we reveal, because I'm not actually loading the style sheet here, but it will syntax check it for me. Yeah, so we're doing this piece now, which has title, release date, the price, this size selection. All of these are just a radio button group, and then quantity select and this add to bag button. That's the entire contents of that.
We've gotten some confirmation that we're mildly exciting, so that's, I think we're already doing pretty good.
Oh wow!
If nothing else.
I aim for mildly exciting. Like I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. So
it's the middle of the day and the middle of the week. We don't want to go wild here, you know.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
We have only just made it over the hump, so all downhill from here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, top to bottom. Just do that title and then.
Okay. Yeah.
Keep going.
Let's do it. So this is the product name. Go down here and so the product name, it looks like it's a little bit bold.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna give that a font weight bold. And it's probably not as big as an H1 normally is.
No. And it's not really an H1 in semantics either.
Yeah, maybe it shouldn't be. What would you make this? Just
actually, I don't know. I guess this is the product pay. Like maybe this will be an H1 or something.
Yeah, I tried to decide which one should be an H1. I made them both H1s.
Maybe. I mean, you could do H2. That would be fine, I think.
All right. What do you think for the font size of this fella?
Ooh, good question. It doesn't look much over the default of 16, like maybe a 20 or something.
Okay. 20 pixels. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So we've got that. It's also going to be aligned. All of this stuff seems aligned to the right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say text align right. Now we can do the product release. Product release hash date or hyphen date. Product release date. This one looks a little bit smaller than normal. So I'll say 12 pixels. And it's also text align right.
As you're doing these, there's a question about, do we use Tailwind on any projects? And I believe we do.
Yeah, I know
there depends on the client, depends on what we're trying to achieve. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there are definitely some Tailwind fans among us.
Yeah.
Since so much of this is text align right, including the price. Well, actually, I won't put it on the parent because we only have one more to go, which I think is the price.
I agree with this.
Now the price is rather large, so I'm going to say that's probably about 28 or so. And I'm not going to worry about like the varying font weights with like the price and the actual dollar amount. I just want to move on and get something done. We've got maybe 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
Why don't we put these size options into a thing?
I love things. Let's do it.
So there's what our template looks like. So we've got product, size options, and then this is going to be
a radio and a label. Hide the radio or hide the input and style the label.
I think so, yeah. So I know I should probably do like maybe visually hidden for this, but I'm just going to do display none for the sake of time.
Okay.
And then the label, I think since we have like consistent padding and there are more than one rows, I'm just going to call this a grid.
Sure.
And say the grid template columns is repeat 6, and they're equally sized, so 1 fractional unit. And then grid template rows is going to be just auto. I think it's going to wrap automatically, and we can tell the labels to have a aspect ratio, or we could give them a width and a height.
The only thing I'm thinking about is we need to make sure those numbers are in the center-ish of the.
Yeah.
That's both vertically and horizontally is easy, but vertically might be a little more difficult.
This is I like to overuse.
Nice. That's good.
Overuse Flexbox for this kind of stuff. 3 rules, and that thing should be exactly where it's supposed to be.
Is one of the? Am I remembering correctly? Is one of these middle? I could be wrong about that.
It might interpret that correctly. I believe the spec for both of these is center.
Okay, cool. I must be thinking of something else.
And then also these have a border.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just gonna try out aspect ratio and say I think it's like that. And since we're not defining, since the height and width is defined by the width is defined by the grid size, we don't know what the explicit width of these is going to be. So this is one case where it's hard to say like, oh, the height should always be this to make them square. It's not going to work out. I think that's how aspect ratio works. If not, oh well.
I realize that this quantity thing is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, so I put these into a by row since they're kind of grouped together. So we've got this select, and then we've got a button. So the class on this is product quantity and product add button. Oops. Okay. So the quantity, I want to say that the width is probably going to be like, I don't know, 4 rem maybe.
Sure, yep, okay.
And then we have the what did I call it, by row. And get rid of this. Which is going to be display flex. And then the add button can be flex 1 to take up the remaining space, and the quantity will have a margin right just to give us that little bit of spacing.
Yeah.
Now the add button, we can style this to look a little bit closer.
Since we got like 5 minutes left, rough actually it looks like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It might be interesting to try to see how much we can get done of the third column and leave these form details, because form details are going to take forever.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's do it. So we've got details, which is really simple. It just has the heading, the image, and the details copy.
Okay.
Now, what I do know about this image is that it's basically just a big square, so the text kind of needs to come into that area.
Ooh,
so I was thinking we could maybe for the image give it absolute positioning and sort of like size it into the center of the box using like using some sort of units there.
Okay. Yeah, that could work. You could set it as a background also.
Yeah, we could.
I guess it's already in the DOM. If we're saying the DOM is not movable, then maybe we want to keep that there.
Yeah.
But
The other thing that we could do is just let it be in the center and give it a little bit of a negative margin. That's the other thing we could do on the top and bottom.
Let's try that.
Okay.
It's tried and true.
All right, so I'm just gonna copy this so we've got our class names.
Yep. Yeah, and I noticed someone else noticed in the chat that we're not doing a lot of nesting here. Like SAS does support nesting, but I don't think we've done almost any.
Yeah,
which is great. It's easy to overuse that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it does become hard to read. I think nesting is super powerful. I love that it exists for those really like for those places where it makes life easier. Love it, but have definitely seen it overused.
Yeah. General rule of thumb I've seen is if you are more than 3 levels deep, you probably need to rethink your nesting.
Yeah,
or your like, importing.
What is this, Christopher Nolan film?
CSception.
CSception, yeah. That's good.
It was all right, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, font weight. I'm just going to say the font weight is light on this heading.
Great.
And it also looks like it's that blue color a little bit. So I'm going to say, actually, all of the font in here looks like it's kind of that blue instead. So we'll just do that. Yeah, we are live streaming from the US. We're in separate places, of course, but
we've got a worldwide audience. But yeah, we are both on the East Coast of the US.
This font looks like it's also probably about as small as like that release date one, so I'll give it a font size of 12 pixels, and it's also got a little bit more of a generous line height. I'll give that maybe like a 1.6. Okay, so the image, I want to say like the width is probably, since it's already got like a little bit of negative space over here to the right or to the left of that shadow, probably say it's almost about 100%.
Yeah, pretty close, or close enough.
Okay, let's just call it 100% then. And if we do a margin, we could say that the margin is 0 on the left and right. And then the top and bottom margin is going to come first. Maybe like negative 25% of the overall size.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Okay, so we've got margin negative 25%. And
so that'll bring the top and the bottom in 25%.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure about negative margins and flexbox. I'm pretty sure that they get along, but we are going to need to like center everything here. So that I know the copy has text align center. We could just say that the text align here is center, and maybe on the heading it's center as well, because both of those are block elements, an H1 and a paragraph. So they are, just in case this changes, make sure that that's display block. And on overall, I think we can say this is display flex direction column.
Yeah.
And since we're going in column, we want to say justify contents center.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, we got the background cream on that. Is it the moment of truth?
Is it the moment of truth? I think it might have to be.
All right,
whether we want it or not.
In 160 lines of SAS, let us see what has happened. I wish that I had like a soundboard to do something.
Pew, 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 pew.
Right? Okay.
Refresh.
Oh my, I'm worried.
This is gonna be great. I know. I'm embracing it. It's gonna be great and terrible.
All right, here's the drum roll. Ah!
What have we done?
Oh my goodness.
We're not zoomed in, are we?
No, we're not zoomed in.
Oh wow, what have we done?
Okay.
Do we?
Those images were just so big.
I see. Okay. So we could have potentially like, I don't know what we have to do, like just really squash that left column down on those detailed images.
Yeah.
I don't even see the form. Where did the form go?
It's right up here.
Oh wow.
It's smushed.
Sorry. Yeah.
I think it's just because the thumbnails were so large. We didn't target them correctly. So we said with 100%, and the width of, oh, here it is with max content. We forgot to remove that. So let's see how that works. Okay.
That's better.
We're getting a little bit closer.
See, that's in the ballpark. There's some problems, but that's in the ballpark.
Let's look side to side. Yeah.
I feel a little vindicated on my my size choice there.
No,
we did not get these rotated.
No, we did not at all. Retina optimized. Yes, it certainly is. Okay. I mean, hey, we got the spacing, I think, on this, right? Like we got the little background sort of matching.
Absolutely.
These are in a nice grid. It doesn't look like aspect ratio did anything.
Nope.
But like the overall layout, I think looks about right.
Like these have that space. We properly use the space around.
Yeah, that was a good call. It looks great.
I have no idea where the title went.
I know. What happened?
Where is that
Let's
thing?
take a look.
Maybe it got, because position absolute, it got like shoved behind. We need a Z index or something. I don't know.
You know what? I think you're exactly right. Okay, so if we went to the where's the product image? Yeah, Z index. Let's bring it back. Yeah, see if we do that. That's not going to work. So the heading can get just a taller Z index. There we go.
There it is. Yeah.
Beautiful. I like that, we've rebranded these shoes to just be Dita.
Yep.
Up here. It's perfect.
It's pronounced Dida. Actually.
Yeah, we didn't even we just used yeah, okay, so we just used the image to get that. So let's say 90%. Yeah, there we go.
Sure. Okay, there you go.
Feeling a little bit vindicated. That's good.
Yeah, no, this was far closer than I imagined it would be. Like a tiny little mistake made it just all blow up. But then that was easy to fix and find and all that.
Yeah.
Like you said, we only had about 160 lines. I think we're still about there.
Mm-hmm. It always does surprise me, like when I check out Shopify websites and just like toggle the CSS off, how many of the like little SVG icons or thumbnail images are actually huge, and they just totally blow out the layout. It's a good it's a good check if you want to know, like, hey, are my tiny images very unoptimized?
Yeah. Yep.
The answer is
absolutely. Yes. Very often.
Yeah. There's also like some height issue going on here. Like this thing's height is kind of a little bit taller.
Yeah.
We didn't really address the height. So like maybe the entire body should get, a min height of 100 vertical height units.
Yep, that's nice.
Yep.
So yeah, now you have to constrain this sucker. I feel like our absolute positioning hack here is maybe the worst of it, but it's actually holding up pretty well.
We actually used that's where we used the negative margin. We didn't use absolute positioning.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot.
But I feel like it worked out. It wouldn't work for any image. It just worked for these images since they include a lot of negative space.
Probably the right way to go there would be something closer to a background image, maybe, although I'm trying to think about the semantics there, if that's a helpful thing.
Yeah. And the other thing to consider is like these images work for this. If I was going to hand this to a client and they had control over the thumbnail images, then I would want to make sure that we weren't overlapping the image with text at all, because if there's no designer to ensure that those images have a background that you can put text on, then I wouldn't feel I wouldn't feel as confident pulling off something like this.
If this was an outdoor shot with someone like showing them like an action shot with the shoes and the background was very noisy, it'd be very hard to see all that text.
Yeah, bingo.
Yeah.
Well, this was fun. Thanks a lot for joining me for this, Edward. It's been great.
Oh, this is super great. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate everybody listening, or watching rather.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in
worldwide
and saying hi. Yeah. We got to interact with chat a little bit. I'm hoping that we can do that even more going forward.
I don't know if we learned any lessons. That we're okay at CSS blind, but probably in general it's best to have a browser going. But it's a fun memory exercise, that's for sure.
Yeah, I feel like I learned a little bit. It certainly reinforced some of the things that I thought I knew.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have picked something more challenging for us so that we could learn something. Did we stay too much in our flex comfort zone?
Big flex. That's us.
We're in the pocket of big
joke
flex
already. All right.
Hey, rule of thirds.
Great.
All right. Thanks a lot, Edward. Let's I'll give us a little sign off. Thanks everybody for joining us. I have been Steven, designer at thoughtbot. You've been watching Neat Stuff to Look At, a thoughtbot live stream.
I've been Edward, not of Neat Stuff to Look At, but adjacent.
Adjacent. Thank you for being adjacent.
You're
all
welcome.
Right. I hope everybody has a great Wednesday. See ya.
Yep. See y'all later.